Everything in the universe has a location, making the knowledge of where things are absolutely crucial. Today, we are going to dive into how GPS works and explore the underlying reasons behind it. As we established, everything has a location, but we have to start with a fundamental question. How is a location assigned to a specific point? Since the universe has no absolute center, we are free to define our own origin. For GPS, the center of mass of the Earth is designated as this center, meaning its coordinates are x equals 0, y equals 0, and z equals 0. Relative to this origin, every single point in space is assigned a specific location. But the crucial question remains, how exactly do we figure out what our x, y, and z coordinates are? We can figure this out by calculating our distance from a known position. Let's say we receive a signal that tells us a satellite's exact coordinates, along with the exact time it took for the light speed signal to reach us. Can we pinpoint our location using just that information? Let's take a look. Imagine our coordinate system where the origin is the center of the Earth. Let's call the known point S for satellite and the point we want to find R for receiver. We can calculate the exact distance between S and R either using geometry and by measuring the time of flight of the radio wave. As you can see from the equation, measuring the time gap precisely and maintaining the exact position of the satellite is critical. Let's focus on the time precision first. Because the speed of light is so massive, time must be measured with extreme sensitivity. As you might remember from my previous video, the most precise clock ever invented is the atomic clock. So GPS satellites use atomic clocks. However, the receiver in your pocket relies on a standard quartz clock. And as we learned before, quartz clocks are significantly less accurate. Even a tiny discrepancy causes a massive distance error scaled up by the speed of light. To account for this hardware limitation, we must add a correction term to our equation. We subtract it from the right side because this time shift implies the light travel for an extra amount of time. Now, we have an equation with four unknowns, which are our position and sensitivity time of our quartz clock. A fundamental rule of mathematics states that to solve this, we need at least as many independent equations as we have unknowns. Since we receive this information via radio waves emitted from satellites, we need a direct line of sight to at least 4 satellites. This is because high-frequency radio waves cannot easily penetrate thick obstacles. So, how do we design an orbital geometry that guarantees this condition is always satisfied? To guarantee that you always have a clear line of sight to at least 4 satellites, engineers had to design a masterpiece of orbital mechanics. You might think they just parked the satellites in a stationary orbit high above the equator, but they didn't. They chose parking the satellites at an altitude about 20,000 kilometers. But the real genius lies in the arrangement. The satellites are divided into 6 different orbital planes, and these planes are tilted at a 55-degree angle to the equator, wrapping around the Earth like a protective cape. With a minimum of 4 satellites, equal space in each of these 6 planes, totaling 24 satellites. This is specific mathematical grid known as the Walker Constellation, ensures total global coverage. As a result of this specific geometry, no matter where you are standing on Earth, whether you are in the middle of the ocean or climbing a mountain, there are always between 6 to 10 satellites visible above your local horizon at any given moment. You always have your 4 equations. Now that we have solved the 4 equation problem, a new question arises. How do the satellites themselves know their exact locations? In theory, the orbit of a satellite is highly predictable, meaning a satellite could just use a mathematical model to calculate its own position. But space isn't completely peaceful. Satellites are constantly nudged by other subtle forces, like solar radiation pressure and the gravitational pull of the moon. And as cloud theory tells us, even the tiniest change in the initial condition will drastically alter the future outcome. Because of this, the theoretical prediction inevitably drift and the satellite's internal location model must be actively updated. So, how exactly do we update them? This is where the ground monitoring stations come in. Across the globe, there are tracking centers firmly anchored to the Earth, meaning their exact coordinates are known with absolute precision. When this station receives a signal from a passing satellite, they essentially run the GPS equation in reverse. Since the station already knows its own exact location, it can independently calculate exactly where the satellite actually is in space. The control center then compares this true measured position with the position data the satellite was broadcasting. Any difference is calculated and the corrected orbit model is beamed right back up to the satellite. By constantly rewriting its internal memory with this updated data, the satellites ensure the location information it sends down to your phone is always that accurate. Well, we know that satellites use extremely precise atomic clock to lock in the time, and they send us parameters to calculate their exact position. But how is this information actually transferred through space? The global positioning system uses ultra-high frequency radio wave in the L-band. To encode the digital information, these ones and zeros, onto this radio wave, GPS uses a clever trick with the wave space. If the satellite wants to send a 1, the wave continues normally, but if it wants to send a 0, the wave is flipped upside down. By tracking this phase inversion, the receiver can easily decode the stream of 1s and zeros. However, there are over 30 satellites in the sky, all broadcasting on the exact same frequency. Their radio waves constantly crash into each other, creating a massive, noisy interference pattern. How does our phone fish out the clear signal of one specific satellite from this chaotic ocean of noise? We do this by assigning a unique complex digital fingerprint, a specific wave shape to each satellite. Our receiver already knows unique wave shapes of all satellites. The receiver takes its own internal replica of the satellite's wave and multiplies it directly with the incoming noise. If the waves match perfectly, they multiply to create a massive positive peak. The receiver reads this as a 1. If the incoming wave was inverted, the math creates a deep negative peak, which the receiver reads as a 0. Reading whole wave gives us digital information of position and time. But there is a more crucial piece of data hidden inside this signal: atomic clock corrections. And this brings us the most mind-bending part of GPS. As we know from Einstein's theories of relativity, time is not absolute. Satellites are orbiting the Earth at immense velocities, which slows their time down. At the same time, they are far away from Earth's surface, experiencing a much weaker gravitational pull, which speeds their time up. The satellite must constantly send data about how its atomic clock is dilating due to these relativistic effects. If we didn't account for this, the entire GPS system would fail in minutes. Let's find out exactly how relativity warps time in orbit. Special relativity tells us that time is not absolute. How fast your clock ticks depends on your speed. In our daily lives, moving at low speeds and time difference is completely unnoticeable. But for GPS, a microscopic difference in time means a massive error in position. So we must take it into consideration. Time dilation is given by this formula. With the satellites moving at about 4 kilometers per second, we find that its clock ticks about 7 microseconds slower every day. But that's not all. Satellites orbit the Earth high above the surface, meaning they experience a much weaker gravitational field than we do down here. General relativity says that time ticks slower in stronger gravitational field. Hence this. Time is faster in satellite than on surface of Earth, nearly 45 microseconds per day. To sum up, the total time shift is equal to 38 microseconds per day. To fix this massive 38 microsecond error, engineers did something brilliant. They actually broke the clocks before launching them into space. The base frequency of atomic clock in the GPS system is exactly 10.23 MHz. But while the satellites were still on Earth, engineers intentionally turned the atomic clocks down to run slightly slower at the exact this frequency. When the rocket delivers the satellites to its 20,000 kilometer orbit, the physics of relativity kick in, speeding the clock up to match the exact 10.23 MHz frequency of our receiver on Earth. But wait, there is a catch. That factor adjustment assumes the satellite's orbit is a perfect circle. In reality, orbits are elliptical. As the satellite moves closer to Earth, it speeds up and feels stronger gravity, slowing its time down. When it moves further away, it slows down and feels less gravity, speeding its time up. The relativistic effects are constantly fluctuating every single second. To solve this, the satellite beam its exact real-time velocity and altitude down to us. You might be wondering, since the satellite is constantly speeding up and slowing down in its elliptical orbit, shouldn't our phone need to track the satellite's entire journey to sum up all those tiny time differences? Because gravity is conservative field, we don't need to know the satellite's history. The universe's equations are so elegant that the accumulated time error can be calculated using only the satellite state at this exact second. By simply looking at the satellite's current velocity and current position, the receiver instantly knows exactly how much relativistic time shift has built up. Now, we just need to plug this relativistic time dilation term directly back into our main GPS equation. And there you have it. The satellites beam down the physics, our receivers hold the math, and boom. We know exactly where we are on the planet. You just gotta love science for making this possible. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.